Okay, thank you. Okay, Jesus criminy Christ. Live streams and me, we do not get along. It doesn't work. It always cuts out. It freaks out. And it says my Wi-Fi is great. I'm so sorry, you guys. We're back. I told you we'd do it for an hour, and we still have 15 minutes. So let's get this. And I know I was answering, I don't remember, you guys, I know people like had some questions that they paid for. I could not scroll back. So if someone can find those and put them in and just tell me that they, you know, there was like 3 of them, I think. There was the one, Wesley Novak. I know that would, I forget what question I was even answering. So if someone can let me know, that would be great. I'm so sorry. Technology, right? Is anybody else, we never used to have issues with Wi-Fi at all. And then COVID hit, and I think everybody's like competing for the same like Wi-Fi at home. So the eating disorder question I was answering, we cut out, what was the question? Do you guys remember? Maddie Novak. What can help with slipping back into disordered eating? Yes. Okay, that's the one. Thank you. And I'll answer your question too, Andrea. Sorry, I'm sweating now because I got stressed out. What can help you from slipping back into disordered eating? I've been pretty much recovered for the past 2 years, but just recently started college. I'm afraid my mindset will regress back to then. So the answer to that is like getting support. We need to prepare ahead. So because we know that this is something that we struggle with, having people in our lives we can reach out to and actually talk to about the real issues is key. Finding a therapist to support us in that area is also key, even if that means like it's BetterHelp, Talkspace, or 7 Cups, or any of those ones I talked about before. Getting real clinical help will be important. And so, yeah, Marissa, I'm so sorry. If you can find your question from the super chat, that's what I was saying is like, I can't find those, and I'm sorry. So if someone, you know, if you can like maybe do a bunch of emojis at the beginning, I don't know, try to get so I can see it. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to find those ones. So anyways, back to Maddie's question, that's what I would do, is getting all that extra support. I think that's really how we do the best that we can, right? We need to prepare ahead. Also watching my video for the 25 coping skills, go back and watch that video and come up with some things that are supportive of you and put together kind of like a self-care / resource box. Yeah, Karen, okay. Karen's having bandwidth problems too. And I know you're on the other side of the world. So it's just really, and I'm sorry that I missed some of your questions and stuff. I didn't mean to, and I don't know. So anyway, those, but yeah, so I know there were a few other questions that people have asked, and I didn't get those ones answered. So if you guys can find those and let me know what they were, I'm so sorry. Okay, so somebody, who was it, had said, Yeah, John, I agree that having a lot of people, you know, close to, okay, thanks, Owen. Andrea said, why can't I stop crying sometimes? And I think the truth about it is we can really let ourselves fall into a pit of despair. And I don't mean that to say that like how we feel isn't valid, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that that we can let our rumination thoughts take us away into a really dark place. And so when we do that, and when we don't take some small actions to pull ourselves out, or maybe we need more like medication, we need more clinical support, which are all very viable, like it's very real things. That's when we can't stop crying. Like we can feel completely overcome with emotion. Also, a lot of my patients with borderline personality disorder feel that way a lot. And sometimes it's just finding ways to regulate our emotions, meaning can we acknowledge what they are? Can we understand where the emotion came from? Can we back burner it if now's not a good time to keep crying? Like, do we need to move on? Can we use some of those tools and techniques? And what I mean by that is like you can kind of tell yourself the story of an emotion, like where is this coming from? And for many of my patients, they won't even know where it's come from. And so our goal is to figure out where that has come from. Meaning, can we track back to like what we've experienced, or maybe it's just a feeling we had, or maybe it's an assumption we made. Are we trying to read someone's mind? Are we pretending we can tell the future? Like there's a lot of things that we can do there to figure out where it came from. But just when we're feeling down and out and overwhelmed, we can want to cry. And the best thing, there are 2 things. Connection with people who we love and who we know love us and we feel safe. Find those people, talk to those people. And second, getting some professional help could really, really help as well. So it's hard. It's okay to cry, but sometimes I'll just let myself, I'll be like, you got 5 minutes, cry it out, set the timer on my phone. And when it goes off, I'm like, okay, that's all I can do for now. And it's okay. We can come back to it. I know that sounds weird, but trust me, we have that power. Okay, let's see. Did I miss something? Okay, I think that's it. Did I not miss anything? I see a new one that came in, but I wanted to make sure. Yeah, why can't I stop crying sometimes? Okay. Yeah, Lolly, that is great. Like, I want the people who paid to be able to ask again. That's helpful. And if you guys know someone who asked, like, let me know. Okay, so Jessica says, I love my dad because he's my dad, but I hate his personality. How can I handle this? I think a lot of us feel this way when it comes to parents and family. Also, my mom said I have some of his personality traits that I hate. Yikes. What do I do about that? I think part of what we have to do when we grow up with our parents, and I don't know, you guys can agree or disagree, is grieve what we used to think about parents, right? Often, like when I grew up, I thought my dad could fix anything. He was the best at everything. He knew everything. My mom could answer any of my questions. Like, I thought all of this they were amazing, like on a pedestal. And then the older you realize they're humans too. And like, my dad actually didn't understand how to do that. And my mom actually gave me the wrong answer for that, right? And we have to recognize and like grieve the difference between this dream or this belief that we had about them that was really unfounded, but we're children, it's part of our development, and then what they are. And so I think even if we just hate parts about them, but we love them because they're our dad, we have to grieve that difference. And then recognizing what personality traits you have that maybe you share with him, and whether or not you, there's something you can do to act differently. Like, hey, maybe my knee-jerk reaction is to lash out, or is to talk over this person, or be really pushy in this way, or I don't know what it is. But instead I'm gonna take some time, I'm gonna take a beat, and I'm gonna decide how I want to respond or how I want to act. It takes practice and it takes effort, but it doesn't mean we can't do it. And a lot of us are that. So many of us feel that way. As I say things, I'm like, oh my God, that was my mother. Like, what? So know that it's completely normal. Genetics are interesting. And so grieve that difference. Figure out what it is that you think that you're doing that you don't like doing, and let's make some changes towards it, little by little. And know that it's not perfect. It's okay if you still act in those ways. It's not like overnight we're going to change. Okay, Tony says there's a super chat question. I've been seeing a therapist for PTSD from medical trauma. I've tried self-care, but I found nothing that brings me joy. I feel ashamed. I think a lot of the more I read about trauma, you guys, because I'm writing that book, and thank you, Tony, so much for posting that. And I like the cap saying super chat question. Yes, Stace Fubar, that's really helpful. Okay, so the when it comes to trauma, I find there are two components to treatment that we know through research do best. Okay, so one is simply, and I say simply not meaning easily, but it's just, this is what we do. We have to put the trauma into a narrative form. We have to try to make sense of it as much as we can into a story, because trauma memories are like scattered and they don't make sense. And we have like blips of memories of things, and we like start attaching other situations to the memory, even though we're not sure if it's part of the memory, and it gets all fucked up and messed up, right? So putting it into like a narrative cohesive form can be really beneficial. However, the more we know about the brain and trauma memories, the more we know that just talking it out and putting it into a story in and of itself does not heal, okay? It doesn't help us heal, but it does start that process. The second, and actually the most beneficial, I know a lot of you are going to be like, what? Is exposure therapy. And the reason we find exposure therapy to be so beneficial is that flashbacks and all the debilitating symptoms that we have of PTSD, meaning hypervigilance, flashbacks, avoidance of areas that remind us of the thing, all our senses being heightened. There's so many things, right? I'm not going to get into all the symptoms of PTSD, but all of that is triggered by all the senses and situations, places. And so if we do some, oh, Sean, thank you, honey. Sean pulled all the super chat questions. Yay. Thanks, Sean. So I'll pull those up. Anyway, let me get my Gmail up. Okay, cool. So anyway, exposing ourselves first we have to find the things that calm our system down, and then we have to slowly expose ourselves to these things that are quote unquote triggering to prove to our brain that they in fact do not have to be. Just because we were harmed, because it sounds medical trauma. So it's like I was in a hospital or something happened to me, I was injured, or I don't know, something horrible. Like let's say I went in to see a doctor and I didn't feel safe. Okay. So we're going to have to put ourselves in a situation where we drive to a doctor's office. Maybe we have someone we go to our physicals and checkups. Do not miss your medical checkups. Either we visualize it and then we move up to doing it. Kind of like I talked about that driving one earlier. We need to expose ourselves to prove to our brain that not all doctor situations are scary. We aren't in harm's way every time we go to a physician's office or the hospital or whatever. We're going to have to slowly prove that actually isn't true, because it's just that one situation. And our brain is looking for threats all the time to keep us safe. And so it's attached all this information to that trauma. And of course, it wants us to avoid it, but that becomes really debilitating when we can't go to the doctor, right? So we have to push ourselves past with a little safe exposure with someone, with a therapist who understands, and having a supportive person come with us and all that stuff. Yeah, it will get better. I'm sorry you're having to deal with that, but finding a therapist who gets it will be really, really helpful. Okay, so, okay, cool. I got that one from Jess. Can't stop crying sometimes. Okay, got that one. Perfect. Sorry, guys, I'm just reading these. Okay, this was Alex said, I lost a friend to suicide and the love of my life broke up with me, and I have trouble accepting things no matter what I do. It sometimes gets dark in my mind, but most times I feel numb and empty. First of all, I'm very sorry for your loss. I have a video about losing someone to suicide. I would encourage you to check that out. I would also encourage you to get your own support. Losing people in our lives, whether I talk about grief in a lot of ways, because grief can happen when we lose someone who's passed away, or when we lose a relationship, when someone breaks up with us, or a friendship ends, or we have to move. A lot of things we have to grieve. And so I would allow yourself to feel that, to grieve, and to do what you need to do. Take your time with that, but seeing a professional will be key from keeping you out of this dark, dark depression that can, especially losing someone to suicide, can really pull us into that. And so I would encourage you to watch my video about losing a friend to suicide, and reach out, get some support. Crisis text line, like I said, BetterHelp, Talkspace. There's all sorts of resources. I have links even in the descriptions of my videos for that stuff too. Wow, there's a lot of these. I don't know which ones we've already done. Okay, we did that one. Okay, for the first time in years, did that one. Did that one. Sorry, guys. Okay, somebody asked, HRK said, how can I deal with rage? I wake up in the middle of the night feeling frustrated and mad without any reason. And thank you. Or actually, that's Andrea, I guess. Is that? Yeah, Andrea. Sorry. These are like Sean copy and pasted them. Waking up filled with rage, and I'll get to your guys's too. And then, thanks, Matthias. I love the little gifts that they have. So anyway, waking up in a rage, to me, says that we have a lot of emotions that we're not taking the time to express. And hello, being a human, right? A lot of us feel things every day that we don't take the time to express. And I think my best advice for that is to start either journaling or doing some kind of activity that gets it out. And so that we're not having it happen when our system is like relaxed. That's why it's probably happening in your sleep room when you first wake up. So we need to scream into a pillow. We need to kick a ball into a wall. We need to write out a nasty letter and tear it up. Anything we can do to kind of help us manage that. I've even had patients, this is random, but it's also been hot here. So making ice in Ziplocs and throwing it outside and beating it with a hammer. Sounds kind of aggressive. Hey, it helps you get that out. I don't really care. Finding a way to express all we feel. Thanks, Deborah. I love the little. So anyways, that can help get that rage out, because it's really a secondary emotion. And I have a video that just came out about secondary emotions that you might want to check out. I just encourage you to find ways to express how you're feeling during the day so that it doesn't come out in the middle of the night. It's just your body's way of trying to process all you're going through. Okay, medical trauma. Will I start OnlyFans? No. Sorry, I'm just going through these, you guys, really quick. Okay, I did that one. What do I do when I can't physically cry? Yes, we did that one. Did that one. Did that one. Okay, we're almost to the end of these. Okay. Brandon asks, how do I get a girlfriend if I'm really shy and introverted? I haven't interacted with girls or dated very much. I would honestly start by looking to find like, oh, wow. Thank you, Emma. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Geez. She said, when we're trying to, I would work on how, I work on trying to find a friend. I think when we try to find someone to date, off the bat, it can be really difficult and we can really struggle to feel our confidence cannot be there. We can worry about everything we say, but when it's a friend, it's very low. I want you to find the lowest like stress or confidence stealing kind of way. I don't know if that makes sense if I'm saying that correctly, but you get what I'm saying. Like it's a lower bar to entry. It's a lower stress level. And so I think trying to find someone as a friend and trying to get to kind of know them, just getting to know them is the most important thing. And then the biggest component is going to be how you talk to yourself. And I want you to pay attention to what you say to yourself. And I want you to make that a more positive conversation, meaning that, you need to, if you're talking shit to yourself all day and saying how much of a loser you are, I want you to change that conversation. I have a video about bridge statements that I want you to watch. And I think that will really help because I want you to slowly move that conversation into a more positive one, because once we start to feel a little bit better about ourselves, that will help. And since you're shy and introverted, I don't know how this can work now, but normally I'd say doing group activities with people is the best. And if you have a few friends that are all like quarantining safely and acting safe, then I think it's okay to get together with, let's say, like 5 people, 6 people. And that could be a way to get to know some other girls and other people as friends first, just, getting to know them through hanging out, and then worry about the girlfriend part. I think groups are easier, is less stress. So, and less anxiety provoking, right? Okay, we have one more question from the old one, and then I'll move into the ones that you guys have just asked. It says, this is from Freaky Feline, fun name. I have difficulty in getting a stable job. My therapist says that I don't have to work to feel like it's enough and I should believe in myself, but I find it hard to believe her. Again, back to that confidence. It sounds like your confidence in yourself and how you can do a good job. Like you don't believe that you can do a good job, or you, like you told me, the real thing is for you. And so I would encourage you, when you find yourself talking about the way that you are in work and the way that you, what you think about how you are at work and in a career path, I want you to make it a more positive one. And then I'm curious because my therapist says I don't have to work to feel like it's enough and I should believe in myself. It's back to that self-talk, and that bridge statement video I think will be super beneficial for you. It sounds like you just have a lot of negative thoughts that you're allowing to happen and believing them, because our thoughts are just thoughts, but we take them and we like reinforce them and make them a belief. Then we act out of that belief, meaning I'm not good at getting a stable job, and so it's never going to happen for me, and we can stop before we start. So watch my bridge statements video. I think that'll really, really help. It'll get better. Okay. Let's see. We just have, it's one thing at a time. It's like a couple of things nice about yourself each and every day. Okay. Now into these. And then we're going to end. So, I'm going to do the super chats that I can get through here, and then we're going to have to end. So, because I got to get back to work. It says, to Proxy 101 says, I've been emotionally abused for 5 years. I'm so sorry. Because I was with my current boyfriend, I've had anxiety before the bad relationship, and I'm still trying to pick up the pieces that got left. How come it cut off? I guess when it comes to emotional abuse, a lot of it has to do with us learning to trust ourselves again. And so the real goal, obviously, is that self-talk we've been talking about. But another big thing is having someone a trusted person in our life, meaning like a friend we've been with for years that we've never had any issues with, or a family member, someone that we know and we can trust, and we can bounce things off of them. Like, hey, I have a new person that I met and I want you to meet them because I'm not sure if they're good or not. We let them help us with some of that's helpful. Getting some support and understanding of where it comes from can really, really help you. It can just help you process through what's happened, because it does get better. Trust me, it gets better. I know it's annoying and it's exhausting, but it gets better. Oh, and to Proxy finished up says, I feel like it's late because right now me and my current boyfriend are on a break because of how I acted and stuff. It's okay. We can't go back and change time. I know a lot of us ruminate in the what ifs, I shoulda, coulda, was. That's why I always say you're shoulding all over it. When we should, I should have. It's a wasted effort. That's a wasted energy. We can't go back. All we can do is apologize if it's warranted, if we did stuff that we wish we hadn't, that we agree was wrong, and then move forward acting differently. And CBT, yes, CBT can help you so much. And I don't think it's too late. It's never too late to get better. And people who are in a relationships with will, if they're worth it, they'll work with us. And if it's not, it's not. And I know we want to make certain relationships work, but sometimes you have to stop forcing things. I know that's hard to hear, but things that work out, work out. And we just have to try our best. And if the other person's trying their best and they want to work with it, it'll work out. I know it's hard to just take it like that, but we can't force things. We can't force someone to understand. We can't force someone to stick it out with us. We can't do any of that. And I know that's hard, but I don't think it's too late. And I think CBT could really help you. Okay, Christopher says, how do you stop feeling like you're failing in life because you can't land a job? Been trying for 4 years to get a job, but they do psych testing and 2 past suicide attempts makes it very hard. I'm so sorry. The stigma and misunderstanding about mental illness is just so palpable. It's so everywhere, and it makes me angry sometimes. I think my advice would be, because not all jobs do psych assessments, and I would encourage you to maybe pivot, especially this time. We have to pivot what we're doing. Maybe we try a different type of career. Yes, we might have to not get paid as much as we wanted, or we might have to start down, like lower rung than we would have hoped. But maybe that is something that you do. And again, back to that self-talk, we have to start having a nicer conversation. Hey, the way I would reframe this, instead of this being, feeling like, oh, I'm never going to get a job, or feeling like I'm failing in life, I would encourage you to reframe it to say something like, yeah, because I had a tough time back in my past, it's made it hard for me to move forward, but I'm doing my best to get a new job and a new career path where I can thrive, because I know that I can do better, and I know that I'll feel better. It's like hoping for the future and knowing that things can, and I know that's hard right now. That's why bridge statements, watch my video about that, can really help, because it's hard to fake it till you make it kind of thing. But yeah, so you'll get there. I believe in you. I know it'll get better. And yeah, it might be time to pivot. I know a lot of people get scared to change career paths and feel like, oh, but I started in this job, so I have to keep doing this. Nobody says that. It's never too late. I don't care if you're 45, 55, you can do it whenever, it doesn't matter. We can always do something different. Okay, Emma says, right now I feel like I just have to shout my story of childhood sexual abuse out in every freaking detail. And I feel mad at the world for not catching me when I was a kid. Yes, of course. But then at therapy, I just never am in the mood of talking about it, and almost get annoyed at her for even bringing it up. But then, like tonight, I feel trapped in time because I'm keeping their secrets. How do I get in the mood so I can talk to her? Journal. You want to get it out? You want to shout it out? Journal. I know that it's hard, and I know that it can be frustrating. That anger is just hiding the sadness, the vulnerability, and the upset that you're feeling because of what happened to you. And yeah, fuck those people for not catching it when you were a kid. I would encourage you to just write it out, get it out of your head. And by journaling it out, then you also have the opportunity to, I would even tell your therapist, just like you're telling me, be like, I don't know what's wrong. I want to get it out in every freaking detail. I'm so mad. And I really think that anger is actually, it's protective, and it's also reactive, right? To what you're trying to get it out, and then you're mad, right? Because then we're recalling all this shit, and we're like, how did this happen? Talk about that in therapy. We don't have to just dig right into it right away, even though I know you want to. Sometimes we're that defense mechanism has been around for so long, it's really hard to get it to quiet up enough for us to actually do the thing that we truly want to do. But I think journaling's a way in. Talking about the anger and the frustration in therapy, I think, will be key. It could be that way of sneaking in so that then you can do what you really want to do. I hope that helps. Okay, Emily says, hi, Katie. I was wondering about your knowledge on social anxiety versus autism in females and how to bring these worries up to a professional. It is tricky, especially, I have a video about autism in females, and some people hated it and some people loved it, and we can never please everybody. But we do know that it can be, not all cases, but it can be expressed differently, women versus men. And social anxiety, it's very different. I feel like it's different. What I would do, Emily, is I would definitely bring those worries up to a specialist, someone who does work with autism spectrum disorder. That person, because we can have social anxiety and ASD. But we need to maybe figure out where our symptoms lie or what's part of what, or how do we get help. And in my experience, the people who specialize in ASD, autism spectrum disorder, are best because they'll assess, they know what they're looking for, and they can help you tease out those symptoms. Whereas a lot of clinicians work with social anxiety and may not understand ASD at all. It's not something we have to be trained in. I was never trained in it until I was like in school, like working in a clinic and stuff. And even then it wasn't, I'm not trained, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like certified or anything. I just had a few patients and tried like the floor time. It wasn't for me. But I'm just saying that I would find someone like that and I would bring it up, like I would bring it up just the way you brought it up to me. Be like, I have these symptoms that I'm worried about, and I don't know if it's part of ASD. I don't know if it's part of social anxiety. Can you help me figure that out? Are there assessments that I can take? This is something you can even ask on the phone when you make your appointment. I have concerns about ASD and social anxiety, and I want to make sure that I'm assessed to better understand what's going on. Can you do that? That's fair to ask. And then hopefully you get some helpful answers. Okay. Josh says, can you speak about OCD, but just your O part? I experience a lot of self-harming, intrusive thoughts, but come from nowhere. And I'm wondering if this maybe is part of that. Yes, I have a video about pure OCD. It's a lot of intrusive thoughts. And intrusive thoughts do tend to be violent and sexual in nature. And I just say that to normalize it. That's what they are. They tend to be like, I could just kill I could just kill myself. I could just drive off this road. I could just do that. And then we're like, what? I'm not that person. Am I that person? And then we just spiral out. And so finding someone who really understands OCD and working on that with you is really key. A lot of the pure O parts of this it's all mental. If you guys don't know, it's like usually we have compulsions that are physical, but with pure O, it can be mental compulsions where we think a certain thing, do a certain thing to make it stop. And the real way to actually, I know this sounds horrible and uncomfortable, but the way to stop OCD from continuing to upset us is to not do the compulsion. So if that is like a certain way that you have to think or a song you start to sing to stop it, if we don't do the thing and we don't allow, we use whatever tools, seeing an OCD specialist would be key, but like not doing the compulsion is how we stop the obsession from happening. It actually lessens over time. Really uncomfortable. I have another community member that's going through this right now. And then it's there's a lot of exposure therapy in that as well. But yes, the self-harming intrusive thoughts could be part of your OCD, your pure OCD. But working with someone, it will get better. It does go away. That's the great news. Caleb's asking, do I think astrology is useful? I personally don't, because I feel like people, maybe from a real astrologist, I don't know, but I feel like it's always like shared to benefit the person sharing it. And it's always like positive attributes. I know there are some that are negative and stuff like that too, but I don't, I read it for fun, for shits and giggles, but I don't use it to gauge my life. Like, oh, it said this month's going to be great for me relationship wise. Yay. If it helps me be more engaged in my relationships, that's helpful, but I don't put any stock in it. John says, I have major trust issues with healthcare providers. I think that probably is adding on to that the other question I was answering. And I think that's part of the reason why I encourage people who feel that way to have someone come with them to healthcare appointments, so that you don't feel like it's you versus them, or that like, hey, if something happens, no one's going to be there. And I would just do it under the guise of, I know right now it might be tricky with COVID, but I, be like, I have really bad social anxiety, and this is the only person that calms me down, and I need them here, or I can't do it. And from what I've heard, because a lot of my patients will go for their OBGYN appointments, like their female checkups, or just physical checkups, and they'll bring a friend and people are fine with it, or a family member. They'll just tell them it's because they get too maxed out. It's too stressful. They get scared. A lot of people get scared at dentist appointments, other doctor's appointments. So bringing a supportive person could be really helpful. Okay, we have 3 more questions that I'm going to answer, and then I guess to go. Oh, thanks, Stace. Oh, thanks, Jules. I'm so glad. Okay. And Elizabeth, you guys are so sweet. Okay. Did I miss? Okay. Where am I at? Okay, here we go. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay, so we have, I I have this question from Lucas. It says, any tips for reality basing? I hallucinate and it can be scary or at least very distracting at work and during social events. The best, honestly, my patient who was schizophrenic, I used to have him, it was his girlfriend. You need someone that you can trust. So having a person with you who you can trust is your check-in point. Like when I used to work in the hospitals, a lot of my schizophrenic patients or schizoaffective patients would, I would tell them to do reality testing or reality basing. And I would be like, you can ask me anytime about anything. Did I see that? Did I hear that? Is that real? And so they would do that. And as you do that, it allows you to kind of learn about your schizophrenia, because the more we know, the better we are able to do it ourselves. And we won't need that person all the time. And so I would encourage you to find someone that you trust. Whether it's like a friend or family member, someone who can be with you, like, and social events and things like that. I know those aren't happening as much right now, but at work, it could be tricky, but maybe you have a really close colleague. And then you just ask them like, hey, did you hear that? Or did I hear something? I thought I heard XYZ. Did you? Did a guy just walk by? I saw somebody. You just check in. A lot of times you can ask people simple things like that and they won't even think anything is weird or different, right? You can just say like, wait, did you hear that? Am I hearing something? Maybe it was my phone. Did you hear that noise? You can check in and people will be like, oh, no, I didn't hear anything. And you're like, aha. So that could be a way. I know it can be very scary and distracting. And that's really the best way to go about it. And if they are getting to the point where it's really debilitating and tricky, I would encourage you to talk to a mental health professional. Okay. Okay. Ima Shaw said, how do I talk to my parents about the trauma being adopted has caused me? I feel guilty for experiencing trauma and I'm afraid of hurting them. Last week, I talked about this on the Patreon live stream, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, about we can't hurt. It's like we can't light ourselves on fire to keep someone else warm, meaning we can't not speak about what's hurting us just because we're afraid it might be hard for someone else to hear, because then we are the ones that end up suffering. We're the ones on fire, right? When it comes to being adopted, sure, your parents could maybe feel bad about that. But guess what? You're in a better situation. They were able to make you part of their family and potentially maybe take you out of a stressful, horrible situation. I don't know the story. But at the very least, you're part of their family. And something about adoption, I've always thought putting like a positive spin on it is kind of like they chose you. Like my mom didn't get to choose me. I just is, right? And I think adoption has that special element to it where they're like, we want you, please come with us, be part of our family. And I think that that's really special. And I'd encourage you to hold on to that. And so your parents, for whether they get upset or not, I don't think they will. But you have to talk about what it's been like for you and the thoughts and the feelings that come along with it. Adoption can be a difficult thing and it can be hard for us, especially if we're adopted at an older age. It can be really traumatizing. And so I would encourage you to just journal about it and then break it up into points. Like, what do I need my parents to know about this? And what help am I hoping for them? Like, do I need them to help me see a professional? Do I need them to pay the copay for that? Do I need them to get me to somewhere to see someone? What are the things that I need? Because parents always want to know how to help. And I would keep what you need them to know in like 3 to 5 bullet points max. 3 is usually better, keeping it short and to the point, and then practice saying it out loud, and do it during a non-emotionally charged time. And just tell them. We often make it bigger and worse than it really is. I promise you they'll understand, they'll hear you out. They're your parents, they love you, they want you to feel good. So we need to tell them we're not feeling good so they can get us the help to get us there. Okay, you guys, I'm out of time. I got to go, and I'm also sweating a lot. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Thank you for all of your support. Yeah, thanks for doing this. And sorry it cut out and now, and it like, we lost a little bit, but hey, we were back, baby. But yes, you all are wonderful. Oh, and Deborah's asking, have you ever done a video on resistance? I have a video on defense mechanisms, which is kind of part of that. So check that one out and let me know if you have follow-ups on it. But I'm happy to do a whole nother video about resistance if not. But yes, enjoy the rest of your Monday. Thank you so much. And sorry I didn't get to all of your questions. I know there are a couple more in there, but it's hard to get through them all. I love you. Thank you for all your support. Take care of yourselves out there. And I'll see you soon. Okay. Bye.